Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about our government. And our constitution provides for two governments for us. And one is union or central government, and the other is union or central government. Central government. And the second is state government. State government. There are two governments for us, one for state and the other for the whole nation. Union or central government is for the whole nation, it's working, and for each state welfare the state government is working. So there are two governments which are there. One is union or central government and the other is the state government. And the power and duties of these two governments are well defined in our constitution. So among this, first we are going to learn about union or central government. Okay. This union or central government has three organs, three parts, which are they? They are the legislative, L-E-G-I-S-L-A-T-I-V-E, legislative, the executive, and third one is the judiciary, J-U-D-I-C-I-A-R-Y. These three constitute the central government. Okay, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. So first we are going to learn about the legislative. Okay, these three together we are getting this central government, and each one of us we want to learn now. And first coming the legislative. Understood? So the legislative. Now we are studying about the central government. Central government has three parts: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. And among that coming the legislative. What is the legislative? Actually, this legislative has another name called parliament. P-A-R-L-I-A-M-E-N-T, parliament. Actually, parliament is a law-making body of government. It's making lot of laws there, okay, that each citizen should follow. For that, they are making laws. It's called the parliament. So, the legislative has another name called the parliament, and it has two houses. That is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So there are two governments. One is the central government and the next is the state government. Central government has divided into three: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And among that, the legislative, what is the legislative? Legislative means a parliament, and it has two houses, two sabhas, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now we are going to learn about Lok Sabha. Okay? Lok Sabha is also called the house of the people. Why? Because Lok Sabha is also called the house of the people. Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is known as the house of the people. Why? Because the members of the Lok Sabha are elected by the people directly through voting. The members of the Lok Sabha are elected by the people through voting. Through election, they are selecting the people for Lok Sabha. So, how many members are there in this Lok Sabha? There are 552 members in Lok Sabha. All these 552 members are elected by the people through voting. Okay. So, that's why Lok Sabha is called the house of the people. All citizens, those who are having age above than 18, can vote and they can elect the people of Lok Sabha. Above 18, they can vote and they can select the people of Lok Sabha. Whenever elections are coming, the age above 18 can vote and they can select the people of Lok Sabha. How many members are there? 552 members are there in the Lok Sabha. And if a person are elected in a Lok Sabha, what are the criteria for that? To be elected as a member of Lok Sabha, he or she should be a citizen of India. This is one criteria. Then another one is that the age should be above 25 years. If you want to participate in an election like a candidate, then you should be a citizen of India and you should be the age above 25. Understood? So that type of people only can stand in the election as a candidate. And the people, those who are voting, they have the criteria that their age should be more than 18 years. So this is about the Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is known as the House of the People because the people are elected the members of the Lok Sabha through voting. And the age above 18 can vote and they can select the people of Lok Sabha. And to be elected as a member of this Lok Sabha, he or she should be an Indian citizen and age should be above 25. So that's about the Lok Sabha. Now coming Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, another name is Council of States. It should be 250 members and among these 250 members, 230 members are elected by the members of the state legislative assemblies and left out 12 persons are nominated by the president directly. They can enter into Rajya Sabha. Understood? So there are two houses for the parliament. Parliament actually is a law-making body of the government. Parliament making laws for the people and the president is an integral part of this parliament. Okay? That's about the legislative. Next coming, what? The executive. Executive wing, there should be president, executive wing consists of president, vice president, then prime minister, and the council of ministers. This includes the executive. This consists of president, vice president, prime minister and the council of ministers. These consist of the executive. So among this coming first president. Who is a president? President is the constitutional head of India. President is the constitutional head. Our country's head is known as president. Constitutional head. Who is our constitutional head? The president is our constitutional head. Who is now the acting president? That is Ramnath Kovind. So he should be the constitutional head of India. And he is the first citizen of our country. We are considering president as our first citizen of our country. First citizen of our country. We are considering president as our first citizen. According to constitution also, he is considered as our first citizen. Okay. And he is also the supreme commander of the armed forces of India. He is also the supreme commander of the armed forces of India. And he is elected for a period of 5 years by the elected members of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the State Legislative Assembly. He is elected for 5 years and who are electing him is the Lok Sabha, members of Lok Sabha and members of Rajya Sabha and the council members of the State Legislative Assemblies are selecting this president. His period is 5 years. So every 5 years president should be changed. So What do you know about President? President is the constitutional head of India. He is the first citizen of India, and he is elected by the members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the Council of State Legislative Assemblies. Members of the State Legislative Assemblies. And his period is 5 years, and he is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of India. That's about the President. And the executive next coming, Vice President. Vice President. Vice President. The Vice President is elected by the members of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Vice President is elected by the members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. He is the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Vice President is the chairman of Rajya Sabha. He is the head of Rajya Sabha. So Vice President is elected by the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and he is also the chairman of Rajya Sabha. That's about the Vice President. Next coming, Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Prime Minister. Who will become a Prime Minister? Prime Minister. Now acting Prime Minister is Narendra Modi, and how he is elected as Prime Minister, that we are looking now. The leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha is appointed as the Prime Minister. The leader of the majority party. What do you mean by the word majority party? That means those party who win. The party that wins more than half the number of total seats in the Lok Sabha. How many seats are there in the Lok Sabha? 552. It's half more than seats how many parties are winning. So which party is winning? So that party is the majority party of the Lok Sabha. More than half of the seats should be occupied by the party. So that type of party is called majority party, and that party's leader considered as the Prime Minister, elected as the Prime Minister of India. Okay. And the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. The leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha is elected as Prime Minister by the President of India. And what is majority party? Majority party means the party that wins more than half of the seats in the Lok Sabha is considered as majority party. And that party's leader elected as Prime Minister by the President of India. And under Prime Minister, so many ministers are elected, and that ministers are elected by the President with the help of Prime Minister. So that we call it as ministers. So Prime Minister, ministers. Then President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers together working for the welfare of the people. That's about the executive. Now coming the judiciary. Third, that is the judiciary. That is union government. The judiciary. Supreme Court is the highest court of justice in our India. Supreme Court is the highest court of justice in India. And under Supreme Court, for each state one court is there for justice. That is we call it as High Court. For each state one court is there. That we call it as High Court. And then below High Court, for every district one court is there. That we call it as District Court. And what is the use of this court? Is ensuring the justice for the people of our country. This court ensuring the justice for the people of our country. If they want any legal advices and all, and that will decide this courts. Okay, so among that court, Supreme Court is the highest court, and under this High Court and District Courts are coming. And the Supreme Court, who is the leader of the Supreme Court, that we call it as a Chief Justice. In Supreme Court, there is one Chief Justice. Chief Justice. And 30 Chief Justice is there. And about 30 other judges who are all appointed by the President. 30 other judges. So one Chief Justice is there in Supreme Court, and along with that 30 judges also there, that is nominated by the President. And the Supreme Court is the final court of appeal in our country. It decides both civil and criminal cases. It decides both the civil and criminal cases. It is located in New Delhi, the capital of our country. So Supreme Court is located in New Delhi. It decides both civil and criminal cases. Okay, all these together working together for the welfare of our country. That is central government. Next coming state government. State governments. The state government is similar to central government in structure. That means the party, those who win, the party that win the election, each state, that party's leader elected as a chief minister. For each state, one chief minister is there. So chief minister and ministers are together making the state government. States, there are two houses for this state government, that is Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. That means legislative assembly and legislative council. But majority of the state have only one house is there, that is legislative assembly. Legislative assembly, chief minister is elected, and for the majority party, from the majority party, chief minister is elected, and his ministers also there, and they are working, and along with the chief minister and ministers, the supreme of state is governor. Like President of India, states, all the decisions are taken by the governor. So governor, with the help of chief minister and ministers, looking forward the welfare of the people of each state. The governor is the representative of the president in the state, and he is appointed by the president after consulting the prime minister. So for each state, governor is nominated by the president with the help of prime minister and the ministers. So governor is the supreme in state, and under governor coming chief minister and the ministers. Understood? So that's about the state government. Okay. Today that much, children. Thank you and have a nice day.
India, a union of states. India got independence on August 15, 1947 from the British rule. Its leaders felt the need to follow a constitution, a book that contained all the fundamental laws necessary for governing a country. The Constitution of India came into effect on 26 January 1950. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee that prepared the Constitution of India. As per our Constitution, India is a union of 29 states and 7 union territories, collectively called the Republic of India. India has a federal structure of government, a central government in New Delhi that looks after the entire country, and a state government in every state. This is because ours is a vast country, and it is not possible for the central government to govern the entire country from a single place. State government. The 29 states, 7 union territories, and the National Capital Territory of India have a provision to have their own state governments. The state government consists of the governor, the chief minister, and a council of ministers. A member of the State Legislative Assembly or MLA is a people's representative elected by the voters from their constituency for a 5-year term. The governor is the highest authority in the state. The President of India appoints the governor. The governor appoints the leader of the party with majority of the seats as the chief minister of the state. The council of ministers is then selected by the chief minister. Union or the central government. The central or the union government resides and governs from New Delhi, the capital of the country. It has 3 branches: the central legislature, the central executive, and the judiciary. The central legislature or the parliament. The parliament consists of 2 houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha. It is also called the upper house or the council of states. The Rajya Sabha consists of 250 members at the most. Of these, 238 members are elected by the states and union territories. 12 members nominated by the President are persons having special knowledge or practical experience in the fields of literature, science, art, and social service. Elections to the Rajya Sabha are indirect. Members are elected by the elected members of legislative assemblies of the concerned states. The Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. It can never be dissolved. Its members are elected for a period of 6 years. The house is presided over by the Vice President of India, who is also the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Members of Parliament, MP, have to be citizens of India, 30 years or more in age, on the electoral rolls of any part of the country. Lok Sabha. It is also called the lower house or House of the People. The Lok Sabha has 552 members. 530 represent the states, 20 represent the union territories, and 2 members are nominated by the President from the Anglo-Indian community. According to the Constitution, the term of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. The House is presided on by the Speaker. Members of Parliament, MP, have to be citizens of India, more than 25 years of age, on the electoral roll of any part of the country. Every Indian citizen above the age of 18 has a right to vote. The Central Executive. The Central Executive has the sole authority and is responsible for the daily administration of the state bureaucracy. It consists of the President, the Vice President, and the Council of Ministers, along with the Prime Minister as the head
to aid and advise the President. The Council of Ministers is appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. The Judiciary or the Supreme Court. It holds the supreme power in the judicial system of the country. One Chief Justice and all the 25 judges are elected by the President. The Indian Constitution gives the Supreme Court absolute power for the enforcement of fundamental rights. The cases dealt by the Supreme Court deal with centre and state disputes and the transfer of cases from high courts. President of India. The President of India is the constitutional head of executive of the Union. He is elected by the Electoral College comprising of elected members of both the Houses of Parliament and the elected members of state legislature. He is aided and advised by the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. The President is the head of the Armed Forces of India. He nominates a small number of members of both houses. The President appoints the Prime Minister, who is the head of the majority party of the Lok Sabha and the Council of Ministers. The official residence of the President of India is called the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The Union Territories and the National Capital Territory are controlled directly by the central government.